Right. So the work that we've been doing and actually that a number of other people have been doing has helped us understand that the social environment is just as important as the physical environment for determining health and survival for our study species and many other organisms that are highly social creatures. What this means is that animals effectively are using social behavior to solve the problems in their environment. And the diversity of ways in which they do this has taught us not only about the many different solutions to the problems of the environment that have evolved over the millennia, but it's also given us insight into our own species, since we solve some of those problems the same ways that the baboons do. I think it's also taught us, very importantly, that this feature of our species, this dependence on the social environment, because it's also true of humans, that the social environment is a determinant of health and survival, that this feature is something that has very deep evolutionary roots. Sure. One of the funnest things about our research from my perspective is that we've always been very motivated to use the most recent cutting-edge techniques that we can get our hands on to gain leverage into the questions that we have, that we want to ask about how these animals survive in this very challenging environment. So for several decades now, for instance, we've been collecting fecal samples from known individuals as they deposit those samples throughout the day in their regular lives. We now have freezers full of thousands of these samples from which we can extract DNA, we can extract microbiota, we can extract hormone metabolites, and all of these compounds give us insight into what's happening under the skin as the animals face the challenges that they have to encounter and solve every day. More recently, my colleague Jeanne has been using a very interesting and innovative technique for asking about how animals respond to immune challenges almost in real time. She uses a technique where, by drawing a very small sample of blood from the animal, she can then challenge that blood in vitro with an immune challenge and see how variation among animals in how they respond to that immune challenge maps onto their social environments. Most recently, my colleague Beth Archie has been implanting tiny paperclip-sized heart rate monitors into baboons to try to understand how heart rate varies with the social environment. Yeah, this is such an enormous challenge. And the challenges that our study system in particular face are, first, habitat loss and habitat degradation. And secondly, environmental change as a result of global climate change. So for instance, at the moment, what's happening is a terrible drought in Amboseli, one of the worst droughts in the past 50 or 60 years. And it's a result of both changes in how humans use the landscape and also global climate change, an increase in the probability of droughts in that particular type of habitat. And by carefully documenting and studying how baboons can accommodate and adapt to, or fail to adapt to, various degrees of habitat change, we can gain insight into how many different types of species are likely to respond in the face of such challenges and change.